Hey guys, this is Bart for iGaming.org. Welcome to my new video series. This one will be about the HUT 109 I won like a month ago. Here I have a lobby of a random HUT 109, so it's not the one that I won, but it gives you an idea of the prize pool and everything. So it's like a 109 turbo tournament early in the morning. It's pretty soft because a lot of regs are still sleeping. So I think I played this one after a session, so I was like playing for like 20 hours or something, and then started this one and banked it. So it's pretty good ending of your session. So okay, here I have the hand history. I actually late regged it, so I'm not sure actually if it was after a session or like before a session, but doesn't matter too much. But anyway, I late regged it, so I'm starting with 20 big blinds. I wouldn't actually suggest you guys to do this. I would just start at the beginning of the tournament if you have the chance. But if the late reg is open and you just woke up or something like that, then I mean you can still reg it. It's not minus EV or anything. But if you have the chance, I would just start from the beginning. So I think I'm gonna push the first hand. Yeah, I mean we can pick up so much. We can pick up 600 and we still have so much fold equity. We have a blocker against his range, and yeah, we just have pretty decent equity when we get called, which isn't that often. It's gonna steal really a lot, and especially in the beginning, he's not gonna go off that light. So here the seven deuce off him, obviously just gonna fold. We can't really flop anything with this hand. Even suited, I would fold it, but like 6-7 suited, I would go ahead and limp. And yeah, like a lot of hands that play well, I'm gonna limp. And then like yeah, the better hands like ace queen, ace king, um, pocket eights plus, I'm just gonna raise and try to stack off pre-flop or at least build a pot. So here I'm basically min raising any two cards. I don't think a lot of players are gonna do too much about it. Both players have a stack that they could jam on us, just because the big blind is playing 22 big blinds effective if it gets folded to him. So and like the small blind only has like 18 big blinds, so they both have a stack that they could jam. But in general, these games are pretty soft because like I said, a lot of regs are still sleeping. So most of the players are pretty bad. So I wouldn't expect too many jams. I mean, here with ace 10 off, it's a pretty easy raise call to both players, unless they both ship. But like even 7 deuce offsuit, I would just raise fold here. But he actually flats. Yeah, okay. He still has like a pretty decent stack, and he gets pretty decent odds. So I think he can still definitely have flatting range there. I think I would probably not really have a flatting range there myself, but I'm not too sure about it. So as it is, 6-6-5 flop. It's pretty dry, even though there is like a flush draw and sort of a straight draw, but still it's not that draw heavy. I'm just gonna see bet like 40% of the pot is fine. 300 would be fine as well. I wouldn't go much bigger than this though. And he folds, we pick it up, pretty easy. Just folding the really trashy hands. Ace Jack suited, we're just gonna raise call against anyone. Basically, like unless like maybe this like 4K stack jams it in and he's like really nitty, then we may find a fault every now and then, but in general we're just gonna stack off against anyone. And like again, if two players jam, it's gonna be a pretty easy fault usually. But so this gets a bit more interesting. The guy actually flat calls, and I have no idea what his flat calling range in this spot is, just because like usually not many players flat call in this spot, but it kind of depends on his stats. Sorry. And I'm not too sure if I have like a sample on this guy, just because it's like really early in the tournament. So if he flats more, then it also depends on the button's range. Like if the button is like really wide, like really aggressive, like 40, 35 or something, and then the flat caller is like 50, 10. or whatever, then I would find a jam here. But otherwise, I would find it really hard to be jamming this spot because usually the button is like really strong in this spot, and the flat caller is also flat calling with some nut type hands every now and then, so it's not the greatest spot to get it in. So I'm pretty interested in the showdown of this hand. So okay, yes. Wow, okay. Let's see that one more time. The guy actually had jacks, which is fine, I guess, but the limper or the flat caller actually called the 1k more, and then jack called the flop and jack called the turn. So okay, fair enough. I wouldn't suggest you guys to do that play too often, but you know, whatever. Like I said, it's not the strongest field in the game. So ace king here is a pretty easy snap call. Let's get poker stove and see what we will be calling in this spot. The guy, I actually think this guy is a regular, or at least I think I remember his name from somewhere. I'm not too sure, but regulars will be jamming pretty light in this spot, I guess. Like I would probably be even wider, but like the biggest part of this is like he's probably not really jamming all his nut type hands. He's probably even like nines plus. He's probably even min raising and maybe even more than that. But yeah, probably something like this will be a shoving range. Sorry, it's actually not completely in the video. Here it is. So I think this should be good. He may be like tighter than this, and he may be adding more value hands, but I don't think it's too often. I think like more often than not, he's adding more weaker hands and even cutting down some of the value hands. So, but let's see. Ace king off, and yeah, we completely crush his hand, obviously with ace king. But let's see, ace deuce off would be pretty close, I guess. Yeah, I think you have to even call like any ace here. If this guy is jamming this range, which of course we're not sure about, but I think it's a pretty decent range. Then even ace deuce off is a call there. Um, let's see, like king 8 off becomes a fold, but a really close one. Like king 9 off plus you have to call, I guess, and like king 5 suited still a fold, but king 7 suited should be a call, and you know it's pretty close. You need to have 47% equity, and I wouldn't really like if I'm like absolutely sure I have like 48% equity here with king 7 suited against this range, then I'm just gonna go. Just because it's a turbo, I mean, you definitely have an edge, but it's not like you can really fold too many spots with 15 big blinds here, because you can pick up 1% of the total pot, so that's like 7k. So you actually pick up 70 chips by calling with king 7 suited here, and I mean that's just too much to be folding out. So yeah, you just have to take this spot if you are sure about this. I mean, people say like, yeah, I have an edge in this tournament, so I should be folding because I can pick up better spots, but I don't really agree with that. I think you can just take this spot and then you have like 7k stack, and that will actually increase your edge, in my opinion. So, because then you can start doing more raise folding and stuff like that. So here I'm just gonna raise fold any two cards against both players. If yeah, I mean they have to be really aggressive to not be raise folding any two cards here, because basically you can pick up, let's see, you can pick up 600 and yeah, you raise 500, so it has to work less than 50%, and just the small blind has a stack that he could jam pretty wide on us, but the big blind can't really do too much. I mean, if he's gonna jam it, it's pretty much an over jam against our stack, so yeah, I don't imagine they will be that aggressive in this spot. So he flat calls, and we're just gonna see bet any flop here. Can't really imagine a flop that I would check back with this hand. Maybe like if the flop comes ace or like king, queen, deuce, then I would probably check back or something. Just because I'm not really getting value a lot, and I kind of prefer to play pot control and let him maybe bluff a turn or something, because there are also not really that many bad cards, bad turn cards that improve their hand. So in that case, I would find a check back every now and then, but in general, I would just c bet any flop. Sizing seems fine. I'm usually betting like 40%, but even a bit less is fine here. This is pretty close. Kind of depends on stats. I'm okay with opening this if the stats are like really tight, but especially small blind can easily jam on us. The big blind can definitely have a jamming range, and there are two other players who could like flat call or three bet or even jam every now and then. So it's not the greatest spot to be opening, but I'm okay with it. I'm never folding fives here, I guess. Now fives is good enough to be raise calling against both the big blind and the cutoff, so that gives us some added equity there. So it's a pretty decent spot to be stealing there. Yeah, I can't do too much here. I would be pretty tight in this spot. I would just basically just play for value in this spot. I wouldn't really have a 3-bet bluffing range too often, just because it doesn't make too much sense to be clashing against the other big stack of the table, and just passing up a spot every now and then is fine. Here we don't really have any fold equity anymore, so it should be a pretty tight spot again. I wouldn't be able to fold like ace 10 and like ace 8 suited. I would probably jam as well, but yeah, I wouldn't go much wider than that. Like some like suited broadways like king queen suited and maybe king jack suited, and then like pocket sixes plus or something. Just because you don't really have any fold equity, but you do have fold equity every now and then. Like if this guy is like a complete fish, he will find a raise fold here every now and then. But I wouldn't really um, expect it too often, and so you should have like a decent. I mean, he should still be pretty wide in this spot, so you can basically see this as a jam, and then you can basically play with the same range and maybe add like a couple of hands, but I wouldn't do it too often. Just folding out the trash again. This spot is a bit closer. I'm opening it, but I'm not too sure if I like it. I don't think I like it actually. I think there are too many stacks that could jam on us. We can only call the small blind here. I think we even have to raise fold against the 9 big blind stack here. So yeah, I don't like this spot too much. I would rather just fold it. Too many stacks that can jam on us, and don't really like that. Okay, so here the guy is jamming on us. Should be a call with king jack off here. Let's just take the same range as before. It's pretty much the same spot, like big blind wise. And again, like I'm pretty sure he's gonna min raise his nut type range. So king jack off, yeah, should be a fairly easy call. But let's say he's not min raising his nuts and he's just jamming his whole range here. It would be a lot closer, I guess. But still, king jack off is still just too good to be folding here. We also need a bit less equity. We only need 45% equity, so like king 8 off is a fold, but like king 9 off plus, if, and this is like if he's jamming his nuts as well, and I never really see him jamming like kings and aces and stuff like that, but can still be calling quite a bit here. Like if he's folding out those hands, like say he's folding out, or like he's min raising like tens plus and then ace queen, then like it's a snap call with king 9 off and like king 8 off. It's a call as well, and probably even king 7. Yeah, so king 7 is like really close. I would probably fold king 7, but it gives you an idea. I mean, and I didn't have this hand in his range. Like this basically means he's probably jamming really a lot more, like 75% range, and maybe even more than this. But I mean, then king 7 is pretty much a snap call, but it kind of depends. We're still pretty deep, so I don't see too many players jamming like 75% range or even more than that with this many big blinds. But if you're sure about it, then you can really call out here. Again, you don't really need to fold that many. You can fold like with maybe 0.5% equity more than you need. But other than that, I wouldn't really fold out too many plus EV spots in this spot. I mean, again, like you do have an edge, but yeah, I mean your edge also increases if you make a stack here, and you can basically bully the whole table. So it's yeah, I don't like folding too many plus EV spots there. Okay, so here we're min raising. We have a blocker, so that's always good. And other than that, we have 3 stacks that could jam on us, but one of them we can call profitable, so that's not that bad. And yeah, I'm okay with this spot definitely. I think it will work often enough. We can pick up. Let's see, we can pick up 950. And we raise 800, so it doesn't have to work that often, and we can still make a profitable goal against the button, so it's a good spot here. But 2 players jam, so it's a pretty easy fold. We're never doing it okay-ish against those 2 players, so it's pretty easy snap fold. I would probably fold ace 10 off here. Ace jack off, I would have a pretty interesting spot. I think I would fold it as well. Like ace queen off, I wouldn't be able to fold it anymore. Just because the small blind is pretty tight there, so it doesn't make too much sense to be really calling that wide there. Okay, so here this is just any 2 jamming spot for me. I don't think too many players are doing this, but there are probably 2 non-regular players, so they don't really understand too much about push fold, I guess. So yeah, you can really jam super wide in this spot, and they can't really do too much about it. This is actually still a pretty wide call. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not too sure about his calling range in this spot, but if he's actually this wide, in general, in these like weaker type tournaments, I don't really expect the big blind to be calling this range. Um, so so usually I'm okay with jamming any 2 cards here. Against this players, I would probably fold a spot here, just because your hand is like really bad. So I'm okay with folding like the bottom 20% of my range against those guys. So this is pretty loose. With 12 big blinds, there still are like pretty decent antes, but even then, I'm not too happy about this. I think I would still fold this, just because there are so many players behind us. I'm like 10-9 suited, I would jam, but I think this is just a bit too wide. Like with 10 big blinds, I would jam it as well. So yeah, this is a bit too wide for me as well. Like king 10 off, I would jam. Ace king off, pretty easy. Get it in. The guy should be pretty light in this spot, and he can't. I mean, he's probably not folding out that much, but I mean, with ace king, we basically crush his range. So I would also be jamming like ace 10 suited and ace jack off in this spot. Okay, here we have a limp, and this really depends on stats. I can't really say too much about this without stats. If the guy is like limping a lot, or like has stats that show that he has like a really big like VP IP, not such a big pre-flop raise, then I would be okay with this jam. Then it should be profitable because it's really folding out a lot, and when we do get called, we still have at least some equity. Like this wouldn't be any 2 spot for me, but 10 7 suited still have pretty decent equity. So But that really depends on stats. If we don't have any stats on the guy, then I would just be folding this. So and he actually traps us, so that's pretty bad. Um, yeah. So I'm not too sure if this guy was. I mean, I still like if this guy is limping really a lot, then I'm okay with this. But if this is just a random limp, then I would be pretty scared of a trap here, so I wouldn't take the spot. But obviously we get there. So I mean, otherwise we probably didn't have this hand history to review. So must be nice. Okay, so here we have pocket nines against the same guy. This is just a standard raise size. Most guys will be min raising in this level, especially like regulars. But this guy decides to 2.5x, um, which is probably not the best thing to do, but you know whatever. But like I said, we saw him do it before, and he was folding to our jam, so we're definitely gonna jam pocket nines here. We're probably gonna go with sevens at least, depending on his stats, even wider. Now he does find a hand and calls us, but we're just running pretty good with flushes. So okay, so this spot I'm okay with this. I'm just min raise calling against the big blind. I don't think he's gonna do too much about it. So like I don't see too many players jam really light on the button or anything like that. And if the big blind finds a hand, it's fine. We still have decent equity. Yeah, I'm okay with this as well. It's pretty much the same, except that we have like two stacks that could get it in pretty lightly. But um, if we do get it in against one of these guys, then it's okay. We have like a lot of dead value, and so it's okay. It's not that bad, especially if the table is like really or like kind of like tight. Then I'm okay with like opening really a lot. Okay, so here we're just gonna see bet. Obviously, we have this board hits our range pretty hard, and there's not too much he can do about it. He like the jack hits his range pretty often, but other than that, I don't think there's too much he can do about it. But as it is, he calls the flop, and the turn is like the blankest card of all, so I don't really see any reason to be doing anything else than check folding the turn here. Yeah, okay, he has pocket king, so maybe if he made a three barrel here, he would actually be folding out some hands, but I don't know. For me, it's not really worth the risk there. Okay, so this is against a good regular, and yeah, we need 31% equity. So let's see. The guy is jamming a pretty wide range here. Let's give him just like 50% range. Um, let's see. Yeah, then we're close, but like we need 31% and we have 33%, so it's like good enough. If he only jams like 40% range, it would still be a call. So let's see, maybe 30% range. Yeah, okay. There's probably not really a range that he could jam that it becomes minus EV. It's never gonna be like super plus EV, but it's never minus EV. So I would just suggest you guys to just call this, um, especially against a regular. We know he's shoving wide there, and also the chance of busting a regular is always pretty decent. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, there are a lot of big-ish stacks here, so I'm okay with taking this spot. I don't think a lot of players are gonna play back at this under the gun min raise, and we only have the small blind, which makes it a bit worse. But we have like super dead value against this guy if we get it all in against him, so that's fine. And otherwise, we can just play a bit of post flop, just see bet every flop, and usually they fold, so it's pretty easy. Okay, let's see this guy's stack. Okay, he's pretty deep stacked. I'm just gonna 3-bet get it in here. I think I'm gonna make it like I used to always make it like a bit too small, I guess, because I gave them a chance to flat call, and I don't really like that. So I would just like make it at least 4k. Yeah, exactly. This is actually what I was kind of afraid of. I think I don't like this sizing just because he could actually flat call here with some decent odds because I play 20k behind and he could call 2k for a pot of 9k, so he gets pretty decent odds to flat call here, and you don't want that with jacks. You just no you just don't want it. There are just so many boards that are really bad for your hand, so you kind of want him to not be able to flat call anymore and just give him a push or fold spot. Obviously, against some guys you don't have that option because if you make it like 5k here, they're still gonna flat. But whatever. You just want to give them worse odds to be flatting here. So yeah, I don't like this. I would make it like 4k or maybe even yeah 4.1k or something like that, because they're obviously gonna flat now. So yeah, the flop is pretty decent. So I'm okay with the sizing. I'm okay with making it a bit bigger though. Like I think 4.5k is maybe a bit better just because he's probably gonna call the same range and we just get more value on the flop. And let's see, if we make it 4.5k, then we have 15k behind, and then we can actually jam the turn with 15k into a 18k pot. As it is, yeah, we have 16k into a 16k pot, so it's a bit worse. So I would be happier with betting a bit bigger here, and then you can shove the turn and be done with it. It's pretty awkward to get your stack in three streets because there are also so many overcards, so it's kind of awkward to be jamming a ace river or something. So don't really like the sizing both post flop and on the flop there. Yeah, just gonna min raise any two cards here. I'm either min raising or making it a bit bigger. Usually blind versus blind, I make it a bit bigger, just to give him worse odds in position. But yeah, like if we were like 15 big blinds deep, I'm okay with just min raising it. But here, I think we're deep enough to be making it a bit bigger. Kind of depends. If you have like a complete nit, who's not gonna do anything about it anyway, then min raising is fine. Sevens is pretty awkward. I don't really want to stack off here in this spot. I think it's kind of screwy to do that. So for me, like flat calling is not really an option anymore, just because you're too short for it. And then like three bet folding is pretty gross. So I think I would just fold this. But don't really love it. But like I would probably take nines plus to be three bet calling in this spot. Okay, so here we're just gonna min raise fold against both players and then call off the big blind. I think we have a lot of fold equity in these type of spots. Okay, so this is one of those boards. We are against two players and we have middle pair. We're not gonna get value from a lot of hands, maybe draws, but that's about it. And other than that, yeah, we don't really wanna. I mean, we're not gonna fold out any better hands, so I don't know. I think I'm actually check folding this and kind of hating my life while doing it, but okay, I suppose I'm not. Okay, I'm completely leveling myself right now. Sorry guys. So yeah, it gets checked to him by two players. I'm not too sure if this guy is gonna bet with a lot of worse hands. He could definitely have like a bluffing range here, and we only have to be good 22% of the time, and we do have two kings and three fours in the deck that could improve our hands. I guess I'm okay with calling this to bluff catch, and yeah, okay, and he actually mugs, so that's cool. I'm not too sure if he had like a lot of aces in his range there, but he could definitely be stealing there on the flop. So I'm actually quite okay with my play there. So eights here pre-flop, a pretty easy min raise, and Yeah, just c-betting the flop seems pretty standard as well. I would just go ahead and give up on a turn. I think like first of all, this guy's flatting range hits the board really hard, and second of all, the turn doesn't really scare him that often. It hits him more often than not. So yeah, I mean, I like this hand. Nah, I would never really be able to fold out this hand on the turn. Maybe if I would bet the river as well, but that's pretty much screw here. So I'm okay with just giving up my hand there. Let's see this hand. Now there are two stacks that could jam on us, and there are a lot of other stacks, and yeah, I'm okay with folding this. Just like too many players behind to be stealing there. And this seems like a min raise call against the button and the small blind, and I would fold against the big blind in most cases, unless the guy is like really aggressive. Then I would find a raise call here, but okay, my plan here is just to call off the button and probably fold against the blinds, but it kind of depends on any reads and stuff like that. So the button actually flat calls, and the board is really dry, and we're just gonna c-bet like 3k or something. Yeah, I think I would go even smaller than this. Just 3k should be enough. He can't really do anything if he doesn't hit, so he's not gonna like call the 3k and then fall to a 4k bet. I mean that would kind of suggest you should just min bet all the time, just because like okay he's not gonna call the 1.5k if he's gonna fall to a 3k, but I'm not too sure if it works that way. But like I don't think like min betting gets too much respect there, but maybe in maybe it could work. Like I actually do it quite a bit live just to mess around, but like I wouldn't really start doing it online too much. Not for fault equity at least. I mean it's nice to do it like to mess around with people, just to give him a like what the hell is he doing feeling. But I wouldn't really do it as your standard C bet to get fault equity, because I don't think it's too effective for that. So this is pretty gross. I think we even have to fold here. I don't think we know too much about this guy. I think he's been um, pretty tight until now. So he's probably jamming in any pair. He may actually fold out like the bottom pairs because he doesn't have too much fold equity. So let's give him a pretty. I would give him a pretty tight range here. Let's see. Yeah, we actually don't get the equity here. So it should be like really quite a bit wider than this, because we only have 30% equity and we need 35% equity. So yeah, I would find a fault here. It's pretty gross, but whatever. Can't do too much there. This is pretty close for me. It kind of depends on how the guy's been playing until now. If they jam a lot, then I would have a pretty easy fault here. But otherwise, I think this will work often enough to be raise folding. The only problem is I also raise folded the last hand, so it kind of gives me a bit less respect probably. So I'm okay with passing up a spot there. So let's see, pocket trees here. So that's pretty, that's a pretty gross spot. Because I think I'm actually open folding this, because I don't really see too much reason to be racing. But like then I'm not too sure if we have to call the button and the other 18k stack, but I wouldn't really be happy about that. So I would probably, and I don't think like it's a good spot to be raised folding against like 7 players. So I think I would just go ahead and open fold this. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad spot there. I mean, you have pocket trees, but I mean, it doesn't really matter too much post flop, and you don't even get post flop a lot. Like usually you're just getting shoved on, and you can't do much. So here this is a pretty much any two spot for me. Pocket trees is a snap obviously, but I would be a lot wider here. Yeah, here we can't do anything. I don't think the guy is raised folding that often. He could, but then we have to raise 10k to get 11k. It has to work almost 50% of the time. I don't think it will. So I would just be pretty tight in those spots. Here this is a pretty easy snap fold. I would have a really hard time with ace queen here. Everything below that I would basically snap fold here. Yeah, okay, here we're getting really decent odds. We only need 30% equity against this range, and yeah, I imagine he's like shoving at least quite a bit in this spot. Like, let's say he's just shoving like half his range. I'm not too sure about it, but you know, doesn't matter too much. Jack 3 suited, and yeah, we easily get the equity here. So let's say if he's only shoving 25% range, then we still pretty easily get the equity. So basically have to snap call here. Here I usually kind of depends against like really nitty players. I would probably just min raise because I don't see him do too much about it. So, but it kind of depends. If I suspect him to be a lot wider with his three betting range than with his calling range to a shove, then yeah, then I would just go ahead and jam. Wow, this is a pretty awkward spot. We have two stacks that could jam on us, and yeah. Usually against like tighter players, I'm opening this because I can pick up 7k with only a 6k raise. But I really need some reads for it at least, or like at least if I have some reads that the guys are pretty aggressive, then I'm definitely just gonna open fold it. Not too sure about this. I think it's actually the like the it could be the final table bubble. I'm not too sure. I'm looking at the hands of the replayer. Like we have one and like 190 hands in total, and we're at like 105. So yeah, it could be the final table bubble. So then I think like ICM wise and everything, it's okay to be folding out this hand. So like I'm just gonna do the review until we get to the final table. I think that's cool. But anyway, yeah, I'm okay with folding this. If it's the final table bubble, if this is like last 20 players or something, then I would just go ahead and jam it. Also, like against like a complete tight nitty fish, then I would jam anyway. But the guy has 215k stack, so he's like, yeah, I mean, this like pennies to his stack. So I would just go ahead and fold. King 4 suited is a bit too strong. I also don't expect the big blind to be calling off too wide because he has to call his whole stack, and it's the final table bubble, I suppose. So I think he's being pretty tight in this spot, and also the hand is just way better. I wouldn't take any two cards here, but I would definitely still have like 50% or more than that in my range. It's pretty awkward because we have 11 big blinds, but you know, still we have an ace, so I'm getting it in anyway. Again, definitely not an any two card spot or anything, but you know, still I'm not folding out an ace here. And we bank it, so okay. Sorry, I was just like looking a bit surprised to see four players left. I was kind of afraid it was the last four players of the tournament, but that's not the case. It is the final table bubble, and it will be five-handed soon, and then it will go to the final table. So sorry about that. Okay, so here we have Ace King suited. The hand is just too strong to not get it in. I'm feeling pretty bad about it if the guy has like a really strong hand, but Ace King suited is just too strong. I can't really flat call this anymore, so I just have to get it in. And he actually calls me with jacks, and I'm like hating my life at this point because you don't really want to flip. Me being a pretty decent stack at the time, and you don't really want to flip at the final table bubble if that's the case. So, but you know, if you bank it, then it's fine. Okay, so blind versus blind, I'm just gonna raise it 9k, so that's 2.25 big blinds, and just see what he's gonna do about it. I don't think he's gonna play back too much. He could really play back a lot because he has an stack edge, and also he has position, but in general, players don't do it too often. Here I like the open fold because you have to call off the big blind and you have a really, really bad hand. So, like anything that does it okay-ish against the big blind's range, I would be min raising there. So this, hold on a second. This is the final table, so I'm just gonna stop the video here. And then we have like 80 hands left, or like 70 hands. I'm not too sure, something like that. For the final table, so that should be good. So thank you guys for watching. This was Bart for igaming.org, and see you next time.